I'm a pre-adoptive foster carer with Catholic Care, and pre-adoptive foster care involves taking babies, often newborn babies, but not always, and caring for them while their parents are making the decisions about whether or not to surrender their child for adoption. I have 3 children, and I had 3 further children who died at birth, and at that time my husband and I considered caring for any other child that may need care, and we found our way to Catholic Care, and that just happened to be at a time when they were beginning to look for foster care homes for babies that were perhaps going to be adopted. When I get a call from Catholic Care telling me there is a need for fostering care for a baby, I become very excited, and I can't wait to find out about that little baby. I have to ask how well the baby is, how large, what special needs it might have, and I also ask about birth mother's health and how she's managing and coping with the idea that she may be giving her baby. I feel very distressed for her, knowing what she's going through, since I know that feeling of going into hospital to have a baby and going home without a baby. It's a very, very hard thing to do, and I'm feeling very sympathetic for her. I also need to know what size the baby is, so that I can prepare for clothes and what formula they might be having, and just anything special that I need to know to start off caring for the baby. My role as a foster mother now is to prepare to take this little baby from hospital. So I prepare my nursery, have everything ready for the baby to come home, sterilise the bottles, make up the bassinet, the right coloured blanket, and prepare the clothes and all the things that I'm going to need to care for the baby. Then I go to the hospital to pick the baby up, and I may meet the mother, the birth mother there. Quite often the birth mother would want to see who was taking her baby home, and we might spend a little time, or we might spend quite a lot of time. Just depends on what she wants. I'm quite happy to accommodate whatever she feels she needs. I tell her basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to care for that baby. I'm going to love it. Even though it isn't mine, I'm going to love it as if it were mine. I'm going to be making sure that the baby is safe and that it is well accepted in the family. My extended family are very sympathetic and supportive of my fostering. I want her to know that that baby is going to get every bit of care and love that it would possibly need and could possibly have from anybody. And usually the mothers are quite comfortable then to hand the baby over. My role with the birth parents is to let them know exactly what is happening with their baby. We go to quite regular meetings as a rule, and I would be telling them how the baby was developing, how it was growing, weight-wise. Starting the life story book, which is like a diary of what's happening in the home with the baby, and beginning modelling of attachment. That's very important for the baby, and I'm quite happy to visit with Mum and to take her photos and the blue book to let her see what's happening in the medical field with the baby. While spending time with the birth mother especially, sometimes the birth father, but not always, I encourage her to feed the baby and to play and to talk and to cuddle the baby, so that she does form a good bond with the baby, because at this stage we don't know whether the baby will be going home to birth mother or going on to somewhere else. And that's important for her to be forming a bond with the baby. We do leave the baby with the parents or the parent and go away and give her time on her own, and then we come back, whatever time she says, we come back and pick the baby up so that she can have some nice quiet time. During this time, I'm very conscious of the fact that the baby is not mine and is not going to be mine, and that it's the birth mother's baby, and that she will make all the decisions. And I feel very sympathetic for her stress at this time, and I like to, when we're separating, I like to give her a big hug and offer my support and tell her she must look after herself physically because she's had a big ordeal, and I like her to feel that I really care about her as well as the baby. The life story that we do for the baby is like a diary that I keep every week. I write it in a book at that time, and it just tells of what's happening with the baby in the baby's life, where we might go. We might have a little holiday, we might have a celebration in the family, and of course the baby is always included in everything that we do. It gives the little child later on an idea of where it was in those months before whatever happened, whether it goes home to mother or whether it goes on to adoption, and just make sure that they don't feel they have a gap in their lives. When I come to write it, I write it in the first person so that he or she can read exactly what was happening to them, and it makes it feel more personal to my way of thinking. I don't know that everybody does it like that, but that's just how I choose to do it. We include photos, and of course it comes with the help from the workers, the little footprints that they take at the hospital, and handprints, and the little bands off the baby's wrist, and all of that are included in the life story. And we also include lots of photos, especially for the firsts, like the first bath and the first outing and the first sleep in the bassinet, and just those sort of things, everything that mothers usually like to have about their children. And we try to keep all of those firsts, the first smile, if I can catch it, and the first rollover, and all sorts of little things that I know will be personal to the child and to the new parent or to the birth parent that she might be missing. If baby is returning to the birth mother, I like to be able to tell her all that I can about the baby, how he sleeps, how he feeds, how I wrap him, generally how I handle him, just so that she can continue that for a short time anyway, and he will be familiar, and it will make his settling much easier. Of course, then she can do whatever she likes when she takes him home and has him settled. I offer to have a phone call anytime she'd like to ring if she needs help, or if she needs just a chat. I'm more than happy to do whatever I can to help her. It's a very strenuous time, I know, but I'm very happy to do whatever she would like. I often include a CD that I might play in the car if I've had the baby any length of time, something that they really enjoy, and let her know how he travels in the car. Some babies travel really well and some don't, and I always send familiar toys with him so that he's got something that he's had before, and make it as comfortable as I can. I encourage the parents to ring if there's any way I can help them, and I just tell them to ring day or night, it doesn't matter. We'll be more than happy to help them, and if they just like to ring and have a chat, that's fine too. We're always happy to hear how the baby's going. In one instance, a little boy I was caring for returned to his birth father, and the birth father had no experience with babies, so we offered for him to come and stay in our home for 2 or 3 nights, and just have a little practice at looking after the baby and learning what he needed to be able to do. And he was very happy and comfortable to do that. He stayed 3 nights, and gradually he took over caring for the baby. I wrote quite an extensive little booklet under headings such as feeding, sleeping time, playtime, bath time, and wrote out what we did together when he was here, and made it easy for him to have something to refer to when he was at home on his own, since he was going to do this on his own. The little baby was quite a few months old, and it was a very big ordeal, I felt, for him, but he was very brave and very willing to learn. We had lots of talks about all the different sorts of things that might happen. Things change with babies all the time. How they are today will not necessarily be how they are tomorrow. So I encouraged him to go to the Early Childhood Centre to check for the baby's development, and maybe to join a mother's group or even perhaps a father's group, which we managed to find in his area, so that he would have other people to talk about his problems to and to learn from. Because babies generally are having much the same problems at the same age, and the groups are a really good spot for that, to find out that you don't have the only problem. Other mothers and fathers are going through much the same thing with babies of the same age. So he set off quite comfortable, and we've heard from him several times, and he's doing really well, and he's enjoying looking after his little son. When we have a call from Catholic Care to say that the baby is going to adopting parents, we ask them to give the parents our phone number so that they can call us, and they very quickly do ring to talk to somebody who knows about their baby. They want to know what he looks like, or what his habits are, or what his sleeping is like, how much he weighs, what size clothes to buy, and such a lot of little things, and they know that we will know the answers to all of those questions because we're caring for their baby. We congratulate them, we become very excited for them, and we also find often they're a little nervous about the attachment changing over, the bonding, and I do try to reassure them that it will happen quite successfully in the few days that they stay, if they would like to stay with us. Mostly the parents do like to stay, but just occasionally for some reason they can't. And I found with parents of a little girl that we had who weren't able to stay, they found it very difficult to leave at night time after they'd done the 10 o'clock feed or such a similar time. And then they had to drive all the way home and then come all the way back again early in the morning, and they found it very hard to leave the baby after that first day. So I do encourage them to stay because we have the room, our family has left home and we have the room, and it's really lovely for them to be the first ones for the baby to see in the morning. The parents are also very keen to know the type of personality the baby has, whether it's a happy baby or whether it's a little bit quiet, or just depending on the age, of course, it makes a big difference to be able to speak about what the personality is, but we do our best, and that seems to keep them happy. The transfer period is a very worrying period for the parents, and I do try to assure them on the phone that everything will go all right, and I recall a little boy at 6 months who was going to meet his new parents. By 6 o'clock in the evening of the day they came, he was asleep on his mother's shoulder. And I thought that was a very, very good example of the fact of the transferring just happening so easily. They were very comfortable and he was very comfortable, and there he was asleep on her shoulder. When I receive a call from Catholic Care telling me that there is a baby in need of short-term care, I become very excited and can't wait for the phone call from the parents. The parents usually ring quite quickly after they've been informed, so if they want to know all about their baby, I tell them how the baby looks, how the baby has nature, its habits, how well it's going, and what size. They need to know what size clothes to buy, so I like to tell them all those things as much as I can about the baby. But basically they really just want to talk to somebody who has that baby, and I'm the one who knows the most about it, I suppose, at that time. So we have a great talk. I congratulate them. I'm become very excited for them and very happy for them, and I offer them to ring any time, talk about the baby, or to ask me anything, or to do anything I can to help them. So it's a very exciting time. Even though we're going to lose the baby, I'm still very excited for them. When I'm preparing for the parents to arrive, we put some pink or blue balloons out the front to make them feel welcome and to know the house that they're coming to. And then they come to the door, and we greet them there and welcome them. And we take them immediately into the front bedroom where they're going to stay, and their baby is in the bassinet, hopefully asleep in there, and we introduce them just over a very short period, and then we leave them to have that very, very personal time on their own with their baby. And I tell them just to spend as long as they like with the baby, and then to pick him up or whatever they want to do in their own time, and to come out when they're ready, and we'll be waiting for them. Usually the worker has come with them, and we just come out and have a cup of tea or some morning tea or whatever, depending on the time, and we wait for them to come out. And usually there's quite a few tears and a lot of excitement, and of course once they have their hands on that baby, I can forget about ever getting mine back on it again, which is all to the good. It's really a wonderful time, and it's such a privilege to be part of that really very personal part of their lives. I try very hard to make the day very, very special for the family, the new family. I bring out all the good silver and the fine china and make nice meals for them. Encourage them to start feeding and to do things for the baby right from the beginning. And come the evening, I like to keep the baby with me in the back of the house so that they can have a good rest. I warn them that this is their last holiday for the rest of their lives. Once you're a mother forever. And they're quite happy with that. I'm concerned that the baby may wake in the night and be afraid of somebody different that they're not used to, and it does give them a chance to have a good sleep after the week of getting ready, and they tell me they don't get much sleep that week, so usually here they sleep well. So gradually the parents take over the caring of the baby, the feeding, the bathing, and we tend to come more into the background. I'm around a little bit if they need any help, but I'm out of sight as much as I can be for them to just bond with the baby. The feeding can be a problem. One little girl we had would only drink half a bottle of milk for her mother, and the whole 3 days she only drank half a bottle of milk, and I tried early in the placement to take over and give her the rest of the milk so that they weren't worried about her, but it didn't make any difference. She still wouldn't drink until about 3 days after they went home, and they told me that she took that long, and they were so concerned about her. They couldn't fit her cot into their bedroom, so they slept on the floor beside her bassinet or a cot so that they can be with her in the night. It was really funny, but she's grown up into be quite a healthy little girl, so she managed without the milk. It's what I call survival feeding. The babies will just drink as much as they really absolutely have to have, and then they won't drink anymore because they're in charge. So that's what parents have to get used to, the idea that the baby rules the house, and that's how it happens. But mostly they feed pretty well, so not too many worries. It's on the third day of the transfer, the parents usually go to Catholic Care to sign some papers, and they leave the baby with us, and we have a lovely time just spending that last couple of hours on our own with the baby. And then the next morning they're up bright and early, and after bath time and feed time they're off, settle the baby into the car, and off they go. And then I get into the state of the stripping and the washing, dealing with the loss of the baby, and that's a funny time. I work really hard and takes my mind off things, I guess. Get everything washed and put away, and usually it's nice to look back on the transfer and it's just hopefully everything has gone well and we're happy with our achievement. It's quite a loss for the baby to go, but on the other hand, I'm really excited for it to go to parents that love it and will make a life for it, and that's where it should be, and I'm very aware of that. I'm aware all the time that the baby isn't ours and it isn't going to stay, and that's fine. I always ask the parents if I might ring them in a couple of days to see how things are going, and they always give me their phone number, and they're quite happy for me to do that, and I always do, and then I leave any contact up to them. If they ring me again, we continue contact, and if not, I'm quite happy to let that go. That's their privacy, and I'm very aware of it. But of latter years, when the baby spends so much time with us and the parents spend time with us, we seem to develop a relationship that all of them are keeping in touch. And we see the children once or twice a year, perhaps. Over the years, we used to maybe get a Christmas card or a letter once a year just as an update, but in the latter years, when we have the children longer, as I say, it's more of a relationship, and we're enjoying seeing the children grow up. When the baby has been with us up to 6 months, the transfer period that I talked about of the 3 days, 3 nights, seems to work really well. I've not had any difficulty there. But when the baby is older, it's a little different, because the baby has a mind of its own. By 12 months, it knows a lot more and knows people a lot more, and is more familiar with the way we live, and that's a little more difficult. So when I did have a child of that age, the parents stayed 4 nights and days with us, and it seemed to be going quite well. And then the day after they took the baby home, we went to their home and stayed for 4 nights. And we didn't do anything for the baby at that time. We just were around the house for him to see us. And we played with him, just talked to him. We didn't have to care for him in any way, so that Mother was doing all of that. And that seemed to go really well too. He was quite settled and just continued on quite well. And I think they were quite happy to have us there at the time. We enjoyed it, and we see them quite often. So that seemed to have worked out really well. There's no doubt children of 12 months have more of a mind of their own, and they just take a little more understanding. When the adoptive parents arrive home, quite often they ring and let us know that they've arrived home safely and that everything is going well. One mother I remember rang, and she had asked me what to do when she got home because of the time of the day that it was. It was really the baby's sleep time, and I said to her, just, wrap her up. Don't make a fuss about the new home, just wrap her up and put her into bed. And she said, I wrapped her up and I put her into bed like you said, and she just went to sleep. So she was very pleased. But quite often the parents will ring and just say everything's fine. And over the months, sometimes we're invited to christenings and birthdays, and they've gone on to confirmations and weddings. So it's really lovely. We just look forward to that contact, and if we get it, we're just thrilled, and if we don't get it, well, we understand that that's up to them. That's their idea of privacy is fine. Very early in our fostering years, there was often very little contact with the children. Because they were here for a short time, only perhaps about 6 to 8 weeks, we might not have any contact at all. Some parents we've never heard from since the day they left the house. But others we have, and one of our very early babies is now godmother to our granddaughter. So we've had quite constant contact with her and her family all the years, and she's over 30. When the baby has left our care, I feel very empty and the house is very empty, but I have a certain sense of achievement that I have cared for the baby as best I could, and the baby has done well over the months that I've had it, and that gives me quite a good feeling. I've kept the baby safe and he's gone off a happy child to his new parents, and I must say I feel quite a sense of achievement there, and I'm quite happy, and I'm happy for him to be where he should be, with his new parents, or with his birth parents in that case. The workers are very good at helping us with our loss. Debriefing with them is really very good. They're very encouraging, they're very appreciative, and we do enjoy working with them. I feel that that's a very big help. My children were very young when I began fostering. They were only 5, 7 and 9. And so because we lost our babies, they were expecting a baby to come home. They were just thrilled to have a baby in the house. And they've grown up like that. As adults, they're wonderful support, good babysitters when I'm desperate. And they were very happy for me to continue fostering. And the grandchildren, of course, are beside themselves when I have a baby. They think I should get one to keep, but that won't be happening. So they've been very supportive all along. It's been a family affair. I tell the grandchildren when they're very young that the babies are coming for a holiday and that they will go home to their mummy and daddy, and the children quite readily accept that explanation, so they don't have to worry about the baby changing parents or anything like that. And as they grow older, of course, they begin to understand exactly what's happening. I think to be a foster mother, you have to love mothering, you have to be generous, you have to be patient, you have to be able to cope with change, especially change of plans. Sometimes the baby might not even come into care even after you've become aware of it. There are a lot of differences in culture and religion and personalities, and you have to deal with that, and you just have to be able to deal with changes in every direction, really. You also have to be able to work with a team and to balance the needs of all the people involved. You need to be careful not to deprive your own family of any care that they might need. I found I tried to be super mum to be able to fit everything in the day, but I never wanted to use the baby as an excuse for not doing things for my own family. If you are considering becoming a foster mother or foster carer, I would say it's a very worthwhile and very rewarding thing to do. I have enjoyed taking a little baby and helping it develop and grow into a happy child to pass on to whomever might take it. Fostering for me has been an absolute privilege. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with the workers, working with the parents, and of course caring for the children. And I think it's been a very worthwhile experience, and I've loved it. I recommend it.